In a chilling moment captured in courtroom footage, Jalen gave Tay-K a high five and said, "You caught your first body," as the two slapped hands. The clip came from testimony by Tay-K's ex, who turned on him in exchange for a reduced sentence. That moment hit hard. It laid bare the brutal reality of the murder and just how cold and calculated it truly was. What many didn't realize at the time was that real surveillance footage existed, footage that directly linked Tay-K to the gruesome events. Released during court proceedings, this video left no room for doubt. We've reviewed it all, piece by piece, and let's be clear. The footage is intense, but not in a way that favors Tay-K. It places him squarely at the crime scene, serving as some of the most incriminating evidence in the entire case. The video captures a black car pulling into a Chick-fil-A parking lot, and from that moment, everything spirals. Mark Anthony Saldivar is seen desperately clinging to the hood, fighting to stay on, but the people inside the car aren't showing mercy. They shake him off, and just like that, it's done. The car tears away, leaving Saldivar's lifeless body behind in a haunting scene that speaks for itself. The footage, sharpened and enhanced by the Regional Organized Crime Information Center in Nashville, left no room for doubt. It clearly captured every detail of what unfolded. Released by the SAPD, the video showed Tay-K calmly driving away from the scene, as if nothing had just gone down. But the visuals told a much darker truth. When the jury watched the footage during trial, it became a pivotal piece of evidence, one that heavily contributed to sealing Tay-K's conviction. The footage offers a chilling, unflinching account of the moments leading to Saldivar's death, and no amount of defense maneuvering could obscure the harsh reality captured on tape. It became a cornerstone of the prosecution's case, playing a major role in securing another severe sentence for Tay-K. One thing's undeniable: if Tay-K hadn't snitched on himself, this whole ordeal might not have unraveled the way it did. Let's take a step back to 2017, a year when Tay-K's streaming numbers skyrocketed, but his legal troubles were quickly catching up. The young rapper, who turned his fugitive status into a breakout hit, now found himself facing the unrelenting pressure of the justice system. No filters, no edits, no second chances. For the families affected by his violent actions, the Platinum Records couldn't undo the irreparable losses they'd suffered. The most significant legal challenge McIntyre faced stemmed from a deadly home invasion in Mansfield back in July 2016, where 21-year-old Ethan Walker lost his life. Even though McIntyre didn't pull the trigger, Texas law didn't offer him any leniency. According to the state statutes, if a death occurs during a robbery that you're involved in, you can still be charged with murder. McIntyre faced charges as serious as the one who pulled the trigger. When his trial began in July 2019, the prosecution presented their case like a gripping street documentary. They painted McIntyre as a key figure in orchestrating the home invasion that led to Ethan Walker's death. The evidence revealed that McIntyre and his crew, including Megan Hall and Ariana Barat, had specifically targeted the house, convinced it was a stash spot for drugs and cash. In a critical move for the prosecution, the judge allowed the song "The Race" and its accompanying music video to be introduced as evidence. The prosecution argued that the lyrics and visuals served as proof that McIntyre had no remorse, essentially taunting the justice system with his defiant attitude. This development raised eyebrows, marking a troubling trend where rap lyrics are being treated as confessions in court, prompting serious questions about whether artistic expression should be taken literally as an admission of guilt. Following McIntyre's conviction came the sentencing phase, where he faced a potential range of 5 to 99 years, or even life in prison. The DA's office leaned heavily into the severity of the crime, and McIntyre's apparent lack of remorse, highlighting how the race almost glorified his status as a fugitive. When the sentence was handed down, it struck with brutal force. In July 2019, McIntyre was handed a 55-year sentence for the murder conviction. On top of that, he received 30 years for aggravated robbery and 13 years for each of 2 additional robbery counts, all to run concurrently with the murder sentence. The court also imposed $21,000 in fines. However, the Mansfield case was just one chapter in McIntyre's complex legal battles. While on the run in 2017, McIntyre was allegedly linked to another murder, the killing of 23-year-old photographer Mark Anthony Saldivar in San Antonio. The case wouldn't be fully resolved until years later, but when details finally came to light, they painted a chilling picture. According to state witnesses, Saldivar's death was particularly ruthless. McIntyre supposedly lured him in under the guise of setting up a photo shoot, only to rob and ultimately kill him in a Chick-fil-A parking lot. The pivotal witness in this case was Joanna Reyes, who claimed to have been McIntyre's girlfriend at the time of the incident. In the capital murder trial for Saldivar's death, Reyes broke down the events leading up to the fatal encounter. She described how what was supposed to be a simple meetup quickly turned into violence. "We hit the boy at McCullough," Reyes testified. Tamar took out his gun, pointed it at Mark, and demanded his bag. Mark refused to hand over the bag, which led to a violent escalation. Reyes described how the situation quickly spiraled out of control, with the group attacking him. The most unsettling part of her testimony came after the killing, when she claimed that McIntyre's associate, Jalen, celebrated the murder. According to her, Jalen applauded McIntyre and gave him a high five. As they slapped hands, Jalen allegedly said, "You caught your first body." McIntyre's defense team wasted no time attacking Reyes's credibility, highlighting that she had been promised a favorable deal in exchange for her testimony, specifically 10 years of probation for a reduced charge of tampering with evidence. They argued that this arrangement gave her a strong incentive to testify against McIntyre, regardless of the truth. Despite facing capital murder charges in the Saldivar case, McIntyre chose to reject a plea deal in February 2024, opting instead to take his chances and go to trial. McIntyre's defense team sharply criticized the police investigation, arguing that it relied too heavily on witness statements that could be biased. Despite these objections, in April 2025, McIntyre was found guilty of murder, not capital murder, in the Saldivar case. The courtroom was tense as the judge handed down an 80-year sentence. The weight of the moment hung in the air as the verdict was read aloud. As the jury declared, "We, the jury, find the defendant Tamar McIntyre not guilty of the offense of capital murder." The courtroom erupted in tension. Someone couldn't contain their reaction, prompting the judge to immediately step in. No, out of the courtroom now," the judge ordered sharply. After restoring order, the judge clarified that while McIntyre had avoided the capital murder charge, he was still convicted of regular murder, which carried its own heavy consequences. The jury's verdict was clear. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Tamar McIntyre, not guilty of the offense of capital murder as charged in the indictment. We, the jury, find the defendant Tamar McIntyre guilty of the lesser-included offense of murder." Under Texas law, McIntyre will have to serve at least half of his 80-year sentence before he can even be considered for parole. In April 2025, Tamar McIntyre found himself with 277 days credited to his sentence, about 5.7 years for the time he'd already served. But his legal troubles didn't stop with his murder convictions. Back in 2018, while locked up, McIntyre was found with a burner phone stashed in his sock, leading to a contraband charge. This violation got him transferred to a high-security facility and placed in solitary confinement, or the hole. Meanwhile, his co-defendants in the Mansfield murder case faced varying sentences. Letharian Merritt, who had pulled the trigger on Ethan Walker, received life without parole. Sean Robinson got a 40-year sentence, Jalen Bell received 30 years, Ariana Barat got 25 years, and Megan Holt, along with a minor, received sentences too. For McIntyre, the most heartbreaking part was how much potential he had. His musical talent could have led to a bright future, but his pursuit of infamy turned everything upside down. Born on June 16, 2000, in Long Beach, California, McIntyre had a tumultuous childhood, bouncing between California, Nevada, and eventually settling in Dallas-Fort Worth at age 10. Like many young people with dreams bigger than their circumstances, McIntyre dropped out of high school during his freshman year to pursue a career in rap. At just 14, McIntyre teamed up with fellow aspiring rappers Pimp Eyes and Santana Sage to form the Daytona Boys, releasing their first track, Drift, on SoundCloud in December 2014. McIntyre also released his solo track, Tuesday 6:17 p.m. 1, I Don't Sell Molly. But the grind was tough, bookings were sparse, and their streaming numbers weren't catching fire. Despite the slow start, McIntyre's entry into the rap game would come not through mixtapes, but through a series of increasingly violent actions. In early 2016, McIntyre's life took a darker turn. In January, his friend Demetrius Johnson shot a college student, Sarah Much Lechner, during a traffic dispute. Witnesses reported that McIntyre's crew had been harassing her with sexual comments before the shooting. Johnson received a 44-year sentence, but McIntyre walked away without charges. This should have been a wake-up call, but it was just the beginning of a much darker path. By July 2016, McIntyre was involved in a deadly home invasion in Mansfield, Texas. Aimed at robbing drugs and cash, the robbery turned into a fatal incident when 21-year-old Ethan Walker was shot and killed. While McIntyre wasn't the one to pull the trigger, his participation in the robbery led to murder charges, as Texas law holds anyone involved in a deadly crime accountable. At just 16, McIntyre was initially charged as a juvenile, but the severity of the charges loomed large. He was placed under house arrest, but instead of reflecting on his actions, he decided to cut off his ankle monitor in March 2017 and flee. This escape from house arrest turned into one of the most high-profile fugitive cases in rap history. McIntyre's infamous "The Race" track dropped while he was on the run, becoming his breakout hit. It was a song that detailed his life on the lam, blending real-life events with raw lyricism. On June 30th, 2017, McIntyre was captured in Elizabeth, New Jersey, ending his 3-month fugitive status. But the timing of his arrest couldn't have been more dramatic. The music video for "The Race" released just hours after his capture. The video featured McIntyre flexing with guns beside his own wanted poster, using the federal documentation as part of his album artwork. It was a savage move in marketing, and the song quickly went viral. "The Race" debuted at number 70 on the Billboard Hot 100, climbing to number 44, and the hashtag #FreeTay-K took over Twitter. The track went platinum, and remixes from artists like 21 Savage and Lil Yachty added to the song's meteoric rise. The video eventually racked up over 250 million views. The appeal of "The Race" wasn't just in the beat, it was the raw authenticity. Industry insiders like Sean Cotton of Say Cheese TV remarked that McIntyre's lyrics weren't just tough talk, they were a real reflection of his life. It wasn't just a rap performance. Tay-K was laying out his story, unfiltered and real. What he was rapping about wasn't studio-created fiction. It was a raw, real-time account of a crime spree that would eventually catch up to him in court. As McIntyre sat in jail, awaiting trial, his management team wasted no time in seizing on his viral moment. They dropped his mixtape Santana World in 2017, aiming to ride the wave of his newfound fame, turning his criminal notoriety into mainstream attention. Even with McIntyre locked up, Santana World managed to make a splash, earning solid reviews and even landing on the Billboard 200. Tracks like "I 3 My Choa" and "Murder, She Wrote" kept the same gritty, violent themes that had become his signature. The success of the project brought an unexpected financial windfall. In 2017, McIntyre signed a deal with 88 Classic and RCA Records, reportedly worth between $600,000 and $700,000, proof that even behind bars, his name was still a powerful brand. At just 17, McIntyre was raking in achievements most teens could only dream of. His guest feature on No Jumper's "Hard" with Blockboy JB sent the track soaring to number 14 on Billboard's bubbling under Hot 100. He even landed a spot on XXL's prestigious 2018 Freshman list, a monumental nod in hip-hop culture. And here's the kicker: this all happened while McIntyre was locked up in county jail, fighting multiple murder charges. McIntyre's rise in the music world was a stark contradiction. His record deal, skyrocketing streaming numbers, and expanding fan base stood in sharp contrast to the grieving families of those allegedly lost to his actions. What made his rapid ascent both captivating and unsettling was that his fame didn't come in spite of his criminal past. It came because of it. His violent reputation fueled the narrative, propelling him to stardom even as he faced mounting legal battles. The Race and its visuals weren't about distancing McIntyre from his legal troubles. They were an unapologetic embrace of them. In today's social media-driven world, where clout can rival talent, McIntyre turned his criminal exploits into a brand, using them as a powerful tool to market himself. But now, like many other rappers who've taken the path of self-incrimination for fame, he's facing the consequences of that very choice. In the rap world, staying authentic is a must, but some artists take it too far by airing out their own dirty laundry in their lyrics. This phenomenon, often called the self-snitching curse, happens when rappers boast about their criminal pasts, gang affiliations, or street conflicts, not realizing they're providing the authorities with all the evidence needed to bring them down. It's like turning their music into a blueprint for the feds to use against them. Rappers often drop street slang like slipping, clout, and ops in their music, creating powerful imagery that resonates deeply with the culture. However, those same lyrics can end up as evidence in a courtroom. Tay-K found himself trapped in this cycle, but he's far from the only one. Take Dirk Banks, better known as Lil Durk, for example. As a major figure in Chicago's drill scene, his raw, descriptive lyrics about his connections to the Only the Family crew have caught the attention of federal investigators, putting him on their radar. Songs like Third Person and What Happened to Virgil showcase Lil Durk's street credibility, with lyrics like, "I'm sliding for my brothers, that's a fact, no cap," hinting at possible acts of retaliation. In 2024, Durk found himself facing federal charges connected to a murder-for-hire plot, allegedly